Thanks, Adrian. Well, the Guard of Honour, the Walk of Champions, newly crowned Premier League champions Manchester City, given the respect they deserve by a team that also deserve respect, Brighton and Hove Albion. Blue and white flags flying everywhere inside this stadium apart from in the away end, because they've had a fantastic season. When Talksport brought you live commentary on January the 19th of Manchester City's comeback win over Tottenham, Pep Guardiola, well, he was incensed, annoyed with the fans that booed them at half-time, annoyed with his players who suggested he didn't look like his team. They'd lost their guts, they'd drifted into the comfort zone. He was exasperated about the kicking of Rico Lewis, and no City player was doing anything about it. From that moment on, they've lost just 1 in 27 and have drawn once in the Premier League. He got the response he wanted, and City were champions with 3 games to spare. When Brighton lost to Chelsea, their manager, Graham Potter, Roberto De Zerbi was swiftly installed, but he didn't win any of his first 5 games. There was no panic, no alarm. Brighton were closer to the bottom 3 than the top 4. But now the Seagulls are flocking from these shores, heading to the Europa League and averaging as many shots on target per game as Real Madrid. Tonight they take on the champions. They'll tell you they need 1 more point. They probably don't. Brighton in blue and white stripes, Manchester City in red and black diagonal stripes. They'll attack the goal away to our left. Our referee is Simon Hooper, who has awarded Brighton 6 penalties in the last 12 of their league games that he's refereed since April 2016. The VAR is Chris Kavanagh. Tomorrow night, Manchester United are looking to secure a top 4 berth with a point against Chelsea, and on Sunday we'll try and sort out who is relegated as the final day's best coverage is here on Talksport. We've got 6 games live, but tonight it's the South Coast celebration of Seagulls and City, possible seminal seasons for both, live on Talksport. Talksport's Stuart Pearce is a former Manchester City manager, and he's here with me. Stuart, both sets of fans in Dreamland. What are we going to get on the pitch as a result?
Well, I think we're going to get an open game. I mean, we've got 2 wonderful footballing sides, and I think that it's the tactical approach of each team, which one can get on top of the other. I was intrigued last time I was here watching the Manchester United game. Tactically, Brighton were outstanding, and really interested to see how De Zerbi sets his team up to counter the machine that is Manchester City.
Manchester City but settled into their shape, with Rico Lewis playing left back, Rodri and Stones, as we thought, playing the centre half roles. Bernardo Silva and Gundogan the deeper line of the 2 midfield players, and De Bruyne just in front of them. And they've got the wingers Foden and Mahrez very wide on the touchlines as Ortega plays out from the back. He's never conceded a Premier League goal, Stefan Ortega. Ball clipped down the right hand side. It's won back by Brighton in those blue and white striped jerseys. They've got stealing goal. I think we're a little bit surprised that he was overlooked for an England call up today, especially since Pep Guardiola has said that he's a holding midfielder rather than the goalkeeper, really. And he's just sprayed one of those delicious long passes through the middle of the pitch, looking for Mitoma to come off the touchline and receive it. Walker's run away with the ball. Mitoma somehow wins the foul by trying to block. Actually, I thought Mitoma was probably the aggressor there. Free kick has been given to Brighton, 10 yards in front of the centre circle. Yes, they have Caicedo, Van Hecke, Colwell and Estepinian, Gross, Gilmore, Buonanotte, Enciso, Mitoma, and then well back up top.
Yeah, just looking at Brighton and how their centre-halves played last time I was here, they're doing exactly the same again. Van Hecke pushing right in on the press, a really hard press, going into the midfield, leaving 3-on-3 spread right across the halfway line.
Not a cloud in the sky down in Sussex tonight. Brighton attacking the goal away to our right-hand side. 3,000 Manchester City fans behind that goal that Stefan Ortega is defending. The ball's whipped in towards the far post. It's flicked away by Kyle Walker, who does well. It's picked up in the right fullback position by Bernardo Silva and then tucked back into Walker once again. It's high up towards the middle of the park. It's chested down by Haaland, nudged on by De Bruyne, and then Rico Lewis with a heavy touch manages to keep hold of the ball despite the attention coming his way from Billy Gilmore. It's played back into the heart of the City half, and Rodrigo gets things moving again with Bernardo Silva, who was eloquent after the game on Sunday, talking about how they can't afford to switch off and deny themselves momentum. And Van Hecker following out towards this near side to keep tabs on De Bruyne, and something that he did, as you'd already mentioned, in the game against Manchester United, picking their most creative player and sitting on him when necessary.
Yeah, when Adam Lallana was joined us earlier, he said have a little look at Van Heck and see what you think. He said an exciting young talent, and he's the one who's being asked out of possession just to squeeze in and get in and around De Bruyne.
Well, John-Paul Van Hecker was the player of the year last season on loan at Blackburn. Roberto De Serbi said to me he wasn't really ready to play in these big games just yet. Still a young player, only 22 years of age. It's his 7th appearance of the season. Didn't look too comfortable at Newcastle, but he is someone who they've got high hopes for in the future. The ball is on this near side. Well, he should be in for a bit of entertainment tonight, shouldn't we? Brighton average more shots and shots on target per game than Manchester City recently, and City aren't that bad. But Brighton know that City's record against Brighton is a frighteningly one-sided one. They did win here a couple of seasons ago against them, but usually when City and Brighton meet, there's usually just one result.
Yeah, it certainly is. I'll tell you what changes the dynamic slightly when Ederson doesn't play, because you can press right on. Ederson's got that ability to cane the ball about 100 yards, which is a big problem for a defender.
He's not too bad with his feet, though, is Stefan Ortega, and he does keep a lot of clean sheets. I think he's a very good acquisition for a goalkeeper that was relegated last season in Germany. Here's Walker down the right-hand side, crosses deep and high, but Phil Foden will get hold of it, left side of the penalty area, travels back towards the edge of the box, leaves it for Bernardo Silva, in towards Haaland, drops for Foden inside the box. Good defending by Pascal Gross, who came back. He's playing it right back tonight instead of Caicedo, and he manages to clear up through the middle of the park. That was a very good intervention from Pascal Gross, but Manchester City keep the pressure on, Stuart.
Yeah, it was. I think Cole Walker's mishit his cross there, went right out the back door, and the control from Foden was absolutely superb.
Bernardo Silva towards the edge of the area, and Gundogan back into Rico Lewis, who's joined in from left back into central midfield. Back out wide again, it goes to Bernardo Silva, and still Manchester City are on the front foot here. And we played just over 5 minutes. The ball's in the box now with the tricky Foden towards the far post. Haaland with a header, 4 yards out. Free header, steers it over the top. How has he missed?
He cannot believe it. Foden, absolutely magnificent there. Manipulating the ball with his left foot, keeping it away from 2-3 defenders. Couldn't get anywhere near him. And he's just stood one up at the back post. And, I can't, in all honesty, Sam, I can't tell you how he's got underneath that and put it over the top of the bar. He can't.
Well, he did.
Indeed.
Somehow he did, and as a result of that, it's still 0-0. And I think Brighton will feel a little bit fortunate. That was the first and the best opportunity that we've had in the game so far. You are listening to Talksport. It is 0-0 between Brighton and Hove Albion and Manchester City, and the best chance, I think we probably thought we might have 1 or 2 chances tonight, has gone to Erling Haaland 6 minutes into the game. And Adrian was trying to point out that he's missed some big chances as well as scoring quite a few over the course of the season. 52 and 50 appearances so far. Mahrez far side.
Sorry, Sam, this is what Manchester City have got to do, and Ortega will play an integral part in this. Brighton are going full court press here, and either Colwell or Van Hecker is going all the way in on De Bruyne, leaving 3-on-3 in deep line areas, and he'll have to, if he can, drop the ball into Haaland, and he's going to have to be the starting point to build attacks.
Well, Stones has beaten that press and played it into Haaland on the halfway line. Now the ball is with Rico Lewis, who quickly moves it out towards the left side, meandering infield from the left touchline towards the edge of the penalty area is Foden. His ball into Haaland was almost perfect, but Van Hecker gets it away. There's a bit of a scrap going on. Van Hecker manages to get it out on this near side. Pascal Gross turns away from Bernardo Silva and plays it down the touchline. Danny Welbeck can't control it, and Manchester City have it back again on halfway. We've played just over 7 minutes live on Talksport, and look, there isn't anything in this game. In all likelihood, Brighton are going to be playing in the Europa League no matter what. There's a 16-goal swing required. And they have conceded 10 goals in the last 6 games, but none of those came in 2 matches with Newcastle and Everton. City have scored more goals than anyone else in Europe, 147 this season. And there was just a smack in the face for Van Hecke as the ball went to the feet of Bernardo Silva. He drove the ball right into the chin of Van Hecke. He looked more like Jean-Claude Van Damme there because he didn't even flinch.
Yeah, and then the referee, insult to injury, give handball.
Here is Matoma over the halfway line onto Buonanotte, who travels up to the middle of the park. He's stopped by Lewis, but not for long. Buonanotte's got it back from Matoma. He slips it wide. Welbeck's in the area. A fall over by Foden, who gets back up to block the shot by Welbeck and scurries it out for the first corner of the game. That was good defending by Foden, and it was a good break by Brighton and Hove Albion.
Fantastic interchange of play there. Brighton worked it, got it through to Welbeck inside the box, and to be fair to him, I think he should have done a lot better. It's almost as though he weren't sure what to do. He should have got on top of it a bit earlier and smashed it and give it everything he actually had. But it's almost a cross shot he went for, I think.
Only 6 goals and 3 assists in 30 appearances this season for Brighton and Hove Albion's former England international Danny Welbeck. Corners will be taken on the near side by Pascal Gross, who places it just in front of the quadrant, looks up. He's got Van Hecke to aim at, and Colwell is in there as well. It's towards the far post, Stones away. Caicedo trying to keep it moving. Estepinian has to scurry out to the far touchline to retrieve it. He does that, then whips the ball back towards the edge of the penalty area. At the far edge is Gross, his first time attempted cross. He didn't catch it at all right, and that allowed Rico Lewis and Rodri to come away and bring the ball clear. Remains goalless. Rico Lewis, who we spoke to after the game on Sunday, wants to make his mark in this team. He sees it the best club to try and win trophies. They've given the ball away inside their own area here, and it's come back towards Billy Gilmore, who strikes from the edge of the box towards the far corner. Ortega makes a save, and that was a little bit casual there from Manchester City, playing out from the back, and that full-court press did its job. They've switched to play very quickly, up high over the halfway line to the Manchester City right, and Mahrez is coming forward at speed. He's played it into the path of what he hoped was Walker, but Estepinian was there to shut the door on him.
I tell you what an advert for the Premier League this is, isn't it? Both teams, one's won the league, the other one's achieved their Everest, if you like, this season, qualification for Europe. But the standard of the game, Sam, is just absolutely top quality.
Outstanding. And we played 11 minutes, and you said that to me before. That sounds like an echo of a sentence that you ushered when we were watching Brighton against Manchester United here a couple of weeks ago.
But that was probably the best game I've seen in the Premier League this year, for two teams going head to head and at each other, and I think we're on for a same sort of treat tonight.
Well, we've been lucky, haven't we, this season? We've seen some real treats of games over the course of the campaign, and Brighton fans have seen some treats as well over the course of the season. They've had a great campaign, a historic campaign. Gundogan fouled by Caicedo, and I think he's on the move in the summer, although that is yet to be confirmed. And the free kick is given halfway inside Manchester City territory. Both managers animated on the touchline. Pep Guardiola just telling his team to calm down. Roberto De Zerbi doing the opposite of that. I don't think he's ever calm, Roberto De Zerbi. He's bouncing up and down, his arms are by his stride, looking as if he's doing a little lateral movement with both arms to try and plead for more energy and positioning from his team. He wants it perfect. Nearly given away by Ortega, playing out from the back. Sort of stumbled as he went to kick it, invited pressure, and then almost gave it straight to Enciso. He eventually cleared it towards this near touchline. 0-0 the score, and we played 11 and a half minutes.
I tell you what, it really changes the dynamic. Ortega's on the edge of his box here, and you know full well that he's going to tank one, which he's done, but he can only play up to feet. He can't play beyond you, and I tell you what, Denarf give you a lift as a defender to get tight,
because his range isn't as long.
Exactly that. I mean, Ederson is just quite incredible with what he can do with a ball, and I know when we've set teams up against him, you're always fearful that ball's going to go right in behind you for a foot race.
Haaland manages to hold the ball up from Ortega and plays it wide to the left. Silva finds Foden, and he now tests himself against Buonanotte and Gross. Across comes Silva to take over in the left wing position and travels towards the middle of the Brighton half. De Bruyne's got it now from Lewis, and then it's back out wide, and Silva's going to get a cross in from the byline. He stops the ball on the byline first, then gives it back to De Bruyne, and then De Bruyne just waits, hesitates, then tries to feed across through the centre. It's blocked by Gilmour and bounces out towards this near touchline. It remains goalless on Talksport in the sunshine in Sussex. And these two teams have pretty much nothing to play for. Brighton will tell you that they need a point to get into the Europa League, but the goal difference swing is so massive, it's unlikely that even an Aston Villa thrashing on Sunday, would have to be some thrashing, would stop them from getting into the Europa League next campaign. You're listening to Brighton 0, Manchester City 0 on Talksport with Now Sports, and don't forget that with Now Sports you can stream all the Sky Sports action like Brighton versus Manchester City live right now for $11.99, no contract. Search Now Sports.
I think City on occasion fantastic football, but I think every now and then they need to just turn one over the top to Haaland, who on a couple of occasions made really good sort of runs, and that might stop the press coming as aggressive. Now Ortega's just gone sidling in on Caicedo as the ball went down his throat. He was pressed by Caicedo. Caicedo went right up to him, and there was a real issue there because he went sliding in, he got the ball and then got Caicedo, so I don't think there's going to be any issues. But there is an issue to a Brighton midfielder who is down in front of us, that Buonanotte, who has gone down, he's laying on the floor, he needs some treatment, and as a result of that he is going to be attended to by the medical staff. And they are warming up Evan Ferguson away to our left-hand side just in case, but doesn't look particularly great for Buonanotte. No, it certainly doesn't. And I'm just going back to that subject about Ortega or Edison. You know, there is a marked difference, a real marked difference between the two, and it's amazing. You would think in a team like Manchester City, the goalkeeper's the least of your problems, you know. And just looking, I think it was Buonanotte managed to get the ball in his head, stopping that cross from De Bruyne earlier, which is shook him up a little bit.
And it's coming out just to be checked on this near side. They seem to be okay about things. They're discussing it. No decision has been made yet. Buonanotte is going to go back onto the field of play. And they're going to play out from the back. Manchester City again under pressure from Enciso this time. They square it to Rodri and then back to Stones over on the far side. And just a sliver of sunshine now on the back row of those away fans that have made the journey down from Manchester. I was on the train with a lot of them earlier on today. Very excited about celebrating the title win. Ball bounces up to Haaland, who holds off Levi Colwill. That's a good battle today. I'd like to see how that develops over the course of the evening. Colwill back from Welbeck, the high ball, plays it into Enciso. Enciso gets fouled 10 yards back from the edge of the area. That's going to be a free kick. Oh, hold on. The free kick wasn't where Simon Hooper's placed the marker down. It was about 3-4 yards further on than that.
Yeah, it certainly looked that way, didn't it? Welbeck done well holding it up, and then it was available for a little wall pass. Tell you what, City have gambled with the ball a little bit. I know they're confident to play out at the back, but there's been a couple of occasions already when they've been a bit loose with their passing out from the back, and with a team like Brighton that are adept at pushing hard and aggressively, it's a dangerous game.
Can go 10 points clear tonight of Arsenal going into the final game of the season. That sort of winning margin wasn't even anticipated even by the most optimistic of Manchester City fans 6 weeks ago. Here is Pascal Gross standing over this free kick. He's got Colwill to aim at. Welbeck's in there as well. And Enciso is trying to make his presence felt. At the back post, Van Hecker has joined the attack. It's going to be Gross to hit it straight at the goalkeeper, through the wall and into the arms of Ortega.
Yeah, comfortable save. Ortega there, just dropped down to his haunches, fielded it.
Big weekend this weekend on Talksport. When is it not, by the way? Manchester City against Chelsea is live tomorrow night, Thursday night, 8 o'clock kick-off. Nigel Adderley and Dean Ashton will be there with Hugh Rosencroft. Saturday, Coventry versus Luton Adrian and I will be there with Dean Ashton and Ian Holloway. 4:45 kick-off in the playoffs. That's the Championship playoff final, while those two teams will be in the Premier League with these two next season. Sunday we got Carlisle versus Stockport, the League 2 playoff. Come on, the Hatters. Nigel Adderley and the former Republic of Ireland striker David Conley behind the mic for that one. I'll be at Leicester versus West Ham. Full commentary of that game, and we'll take you around the grounds as well. Leeds against Tottenham is on Talksport 2. Adrian's going to be at Everton for the final day of reckoning at the bottom of the Premier League. We can't wait. Playing out again, Manchester City under pressure. There's 4 Brighton shirts pressurising them inside the box. It's intense pressure. It's a high press. It's a smothering feeling for those trying to get out of it, and they've given the ball away. Caicedo into the box on the left hand side, a flick on. Buonanotte coming in behind Lewis. It's only as far as Welbeck, edge of the area. Gilmour tries to turn, foul by Gundogan. It's another free kick, just 5 yards back from the edge of the penalty area this time, left hand side, and that came about because of that success of the high press from Brighton.
Yeah, the one thing they do, it's all very well setting your team up to press, but Brighton commit to it to a man. So the managers give them confidence to say, don't worry about what's behind you, do the job that's in front of you, and they do it brilliantly well.
Roberto De Zerbi has now led Sassuolo and Brighton to their highest ever league finishes. He's done it with an enterprising brand of football, possession dominated. Only City have the ball on average more than them, and they like to win it back high in opposition territory, and by doing that they've generated this free kick opportunity. Danny Welbeck wants to place this down. Pascal Gross had a sighter just a few moments ago. Who's going to get the opportunity to take this? Brighton 0, Manchester City 0. We're in the 19th minute of the game. There's a 5-man Manchester City wall and a draft excluder laying down. Van Hecker is to the right of the wall. He's now going to try and disrupt it alongside Gross, who's gone in there too, and Enciso. So it is going to be Danny Welbeck who takes this. Estepinion's just to the right of it. Welbeck looks as if he's favourite to strike. He steps up, right-footed. It's over the wall towards the corner. He smacks the crossbar. It's a brilliant free kick from Danny Welbeck, and so close to the opening goal for Brighton and Hove Albion. What a chance. Up over the wall, right-footed, curling towards the near corner, and the goalkeeper was beaten.
It certainly was. It's hit the crossbar full on and come back probably further than it actually was struck from.
Here come Brighton again down the right-hand side. Buonanotte is beaten to it by Lewis this time, but they've won it back very quickly. Caicedo, though, has lost out to Mahrez. He's gone down here, and Brighton are now misshapen as De Bruyne comes forward. Haaland into the penalty area, down the right side. Back to De Bruyne. Buonanotte has got back and won the ball for Roberto De Zerbi's team. They're delighted about that, and they're moving up towards the halfway line. Here is Danny Welbeck into Caicedo. Welbeck looks super motivated tonight, the former Manchester United player. Infield it goes to Buonanotte. Back to Gilmour. Enciso. Caicedo. Gundogan gets the ball ahead of him. Caicedo's gone down wriggling around in pain, but Foden has sent for Haaland away. In between the centre-backs. He's in the area now. He takes on the goalkeeper who stands his ground and gets there. He went down really well there, Jason Steele. He didn't overcommit himself. He waited and stared into the whites of the striking Viking, and then smothered the ball at the last moment.
Well, I've got to say, great ball by Foden, split the defence. Van Hecker nowhere to be seen. But I have no idea why Haaland's taken the ball towards the defender onto his left foot and got involved in traffic.
Welbeck at the other end, Dad to the left, is picked up by Kara Matoma. Matoma moving towards the left edge of the area, needs a bit of support. Welbeck provides it. Welbeck then tries to centre it to Caicedo, and then it's back wide towards the left of Matoma again, who right-footed strikes the ball. It's blocked by Mahrez and goes out to the far side. Collected now by De Bruyne, who's looking to escape, but Matoma is getting back there to help out his team. And then it goes all the way back into midfield. It's an open game, 21 minutes gone. Brighton have hit the crossbar. Haaland's missed a chance when sent straight through by Foden. He also missed a free header from 4 yards out. It's 0-0.
Yeah, he's been a bit scruffy with his possession work, I think, Haaland, tonight, and that opportunity, he should be taking that on his right foot away from the defender and opening the goal up.
Here is Foden in the penalty area, tricking his way through the box. It comes to Mahrez, edge of the area, a little trick. They were backing off him and he had a lot of space to run into, but Estupiñán did his job, blocked the attempted cross, and the ball breaks away for Brighton. And now it's, well, it could have been 2-on-2 there, and Matoma is steaming through the middle, and he's got space out wide, and it's a foot race between Estupiñán and Walker. Guess who's won it?
It's a foot race between Estupiñán and someone driving a Ferrari by the looks of things, to be quite honest with you. Well, you play the ball, and for any mere mortal, that ball would have been good enough and the perfect weight. But when Cole Walker puts the afterburners on, wowee, he can make a good ball look a really poor one.
Outstanding speed of Kyle Walker, and he was talking about this ahead of the Real Madrid second leg when he said, you know, I've been quite lucky and I have to thank my mum and dad for this. The genetics that I've got, I haven't lost any speed at all, and he's going to be 33 on the final day of the season.
To be fair, his parents are one Torino and Usain Bolt, so it's quite understandable.
Here is Mahrez back to the edge of the centre circle inside the Manchester City half. It's now with Gundogan, and Gundogan plays it back infield where it's collected by Stones. A seagull flies overhead as we sit here about 7 or 8 rows back from the dugouts at the Amex Stadium, the beautifully appointed Amex Stadium with the floodlights on and the clear blue sky on this wonderful spring evening. And these two teams battling it out in front of us, two brilliant teams. Gilmour travels with the ball such a long way, brilliant from him, out towards the left, and then Ciso sliding in with Stones, sensing the danger, and he puts it out for a throw-in over on the far side. It remains 0-0, but we've had crossbar rattled, headers over from 4 yards out, and the goalkeeper needing to make a save at either end. And it's been a lively start to the game on Talksport with Car Finance 24/7. Search Car Finance 24/7 today.
Yeah, KG Affair defence is on top then, eh? It has been a brilliant footballing spectacle, though.
Well, you always say yes when someone asks you to go to Brighton, don't you?
Yeah. Oh, well, at the moment, they're a wonderful team to watch, set up brilliantly, and the questions that they ask the opposition that come down here are quite incredible. You know, you've got to be on top of your game.
Saying that, me
technically
and you say yes when anyone invites us anywhere. Here's Haaland, played down the right hand side by Mahrez. He's in towards the edge of the penalty area now. He rounds the goalkeeper this time, sends it square. Foden is there with an empty net to put the ball into. It takes a deflection off Van Hecker on the way through, and that lightning quick counter attack sends the Manchester City fans into raptures. Haaland doing all the hard work, Phil Foden finishing it off. He always scores against Brighton and Hove Albion. It's his 6th goal in 8 games against them, his 15th of the season, the first goal of the night, and Phil Foden gets the champions off and running in the sunshine.
Well, first time probably Haaland in the game has held the ball up particularly well, set it off to Mahrez. Mahrez responded in kind by putting Haaland in on goal, and unselfishly what he's done, with a great ball by the way, behind the defence. And Heck showing there he's a little what standard he needs to attain to play in this division. And I'll tell you what, when the ball was played to Foden, it was a really poor finish by Foden, to be honest with you. He was off balance, he's hit it, and Van Heck, I think, should have cleared it off the line.
He didn't, and as a result of that, it's Brighton 0, Manchester City 1, live on Talksport. It's taken 25 minutes for Manchester City to open the scoring, and they've just about done it. And it's not very often that Phil Foden has been starting recently. He's been on the bench after his appendix operation that he had in the middle of international duty, and he's been in the team the last couple of matches trying to get his match fitness, maybe trying to stake a claim for that FA Cup final or the Champions League final, which Manchester City have still got to look forward to. And I said earlier on, maybe casually, they haven't got too much to play for, but the Manchester City players in particular have got to make sure they retain their sharpness ahead of the 2 biggest games that remain for them in the season.
Sam, if ever there was a game you thought they might be off the pace a little bit, this is the one we're looking at. And I'll tell you what, they've been absolutely outstanding, the intensity of the way they're playing, and probably led by Foden. I think he's been as good as anyone on the pitch.
Mahrez trying to get beyond the challenge of Estupiñán. The combination between him and Haaland was quite entertaining. Goes all the way back towards Jason Steele. and that's clipped up towards the midpoint of the Brighton half. Lewis has got it back though for Manchester City, who lead by a goal to nil. Phil Foden will be credited with it, although Van Hecke did his best to help out. Here is Buonanotte down the right hand side, moves towards the right edge of the penalty area, a left footed ball into Caicedo, tucks it back to Billy Gilmore and goes wide to Estepinian, who sends a cross into the box looking for Buonanotte. He's brought it down, couldn't get it under control. I think he was a little bit surprised that it went over Lewis's head, came right into his body, and then he couldn't get it under control. Quickly Ortega has sprung them on the counter-attack, and a stop by Gundogan has allowed De Bruyne to take control of the situation. They're now on the offensive, Manchester City. It's end-to-end stuff, this, isn't it?
It's absolutely superb. And to be fair, just looking at Van Hecke there, he would have thought the game's not bad and he's done everything the manager's asked. Then all of a sudden Haaland comes to feet, he goes with him, lays it off, spins behind him, and Haaland's free by 5 yards, and that's the difference at this level of intensity.
If you're going to go in with Haaland like that, do you have to win it?
I would say be touch tight, because then if he sets it off, you can use his body to push him away to get a head start.
And what's he doing wrong? He's getting too close to him.
Not close enough, I'd say, because you're in a forward momentum as he's turned and going the other way. So all of a sudden, him being a yard in front of you turns into him 5 yards behind you very, very quickly. I would say to any defender, if you're going in tight, go touch tight. Don't leave it a yard or 2 yards, and you can use his body to lever him away.
Well, we played 29 minutes, and it's Brighton 0, Manchester City 1, live on Talksport. Ortega forward towards Bernardo Silva, and then he moves the ball wide towards the left-hand side. It's collected by Rico Lewis, and he travels forward, tries to feed Haaland. It's stopped by Levi Colwell, and it's cleared away by Brighton. Mitoma immediately found himself in a clutch of red jerseys, and then Enciso came back and won it for Brighton, who have a great record against the big boys. They've won 3 of their last 4 Premier League games against the top 16. And there was a ball on there to play down the middle for Danny Welbeck. He's got one out wide as well, but he hasn't played it. He's travelled with it a long way, maybe just slowed the momentum of the attack there, Stuart.
Yeah, he certainly was on a great run there, I've got to say, but the ball the ball wasn't forthcoming. There's very little to choose between both teams' football in the middle of the pitch, but I just get the impression City have got...
Enciso from distance strikes, takes a deflection, goes behind. Sorry.
No problem. City have got just that little bit more cutting edge and threat when they go forward. It's as though we know where the goal is and we're coming for it. Brighton create some fantastic opportunities, but the cutting edge, the clinical finish has probably just been missing. Well, one team have got a player on 36, 37 goals, the other one, Danny, is probably Brighton's end of the pitch is not a regular scoring centre forward. 7,
yeah. And if you look at the statistics, they create a lot of the similar sort of numbers of chances as each other, but Brighton scoreless. Ball in towards the near post, headed down by Welbeck onto Mitoma, and Mitoma smuggles it in with his chest over the line, and it's 1-1. And is that the first goal that Ortega is going to concede? Well, no, because they're going to suggest that there was a handball there by Kaoru Mitoma. It wasn't his chest. Simon Hooper is saying that it was off his arm, and as a result of that, if he's used his arm to put the ball in the net, then it is going to be chalked off. They're just talking to the VAR to check that that's the case. Mitoma celebrated immediately. He says it's his chest. They're looking at the replay. The cross came in from the corner. It was flicked on by Welbeck. Mitoma at the far post. I think he used his chest, did he? And then did it? Oh, he hit his arm on the way through accidentally as handball.
Yeah,
he's got no chance.
His chest is the first contact, and then he slid in like he's going for first base, and it's just hit both arms as it bounced over the line. Really unfortunate. Great play, by the way, from Danny Welbeck. Fantastic cushioned header from the 6-yard box, creating the opportunity.
Yeah, there was no debating that. The rule is pretty clear. If you accidentally put it in with your arm from a yard out, it's going to be chalked off, I'm afraid. Doesn't matter if it's the last action before the ball crosses the line. Accidental, deliberate, doesn't matter how it contacted you. If it touches your arm, it's going to be ruled out. It was an accident, actually, because he tried desperately to put it in with his chest, but he didn't have enough power. He then landed on top of the ball and sort of carried it over the line. And Roberto De Zerbi is furious. He's just come running over towards the near side, and he's smashed the hand against a chair. There's a couple of the substitutes. Alexis McAllister's just looking at him and nervously sort of laughing, embarrassed sort of fashion, because he's lost his temper. He's smashed the chair and then he's run back out towards the edge of the technical area. He is a fiery character. Brighton 0, Manchester City 1. Brighton have had a goal disallowed, and Manchester City have possession. Remember, Brighton did used to be labelled that team that couldn't score goals. They're the best team that couldn't score goals, wasn't it? Overall, the Seagulls have outscored Leicester's 15-16 title-winning team. They've taken 585 shots overall in the 36 Premier League games this season. Liverpool's 19-20 title-winning team, who finished on 99 points, took 591 shots over their 38 games. So they've got almost as many shots in their locker as them. No wonder Pep is all over Roberto De Zerbi.
Yeah, very pleasing on the eye, Sam.
They're very good with their football, but they've also added goals to their game. They're not perfect in that department, but they're much better than they were. Here on the left-hand side, the ball is picked up by Foden into the ball to the edge of the penalty area. He goes back to Foden again from Silva, and now it's collected by De Bruyne down the left side. Foden high into the box on the far side of the 6-yard box is Mahrez trying to hold on to it. Estepinan's got his shirt, got to be careful. Goes out wide again, and Manchester City recycle it back towards the halfway line. I mean, it is worth pointing out that 70 goals in a Premier League season is pretty impressive. Usually only the top six, the traditional top six, manage that. The last team from outside that little cartel to get 70 goals with Aston Villa back in 2007-8, I think. Here is Lewis moving towards the edge of the D. He travels, plays it to Haaland, gets it back again, tries to get the wrong side of Caicedo, who wrestles with him, wins the ball, and then Lewis, who's all over him like a rash, gives away a foul just outside the D, and it's Brighton's ball. They trail by a goal to nil. We played 34 minutes.
Yeah, the technicians in this City team are absolutely incredible. They really are. I mean, Foden, De Bruyne, and Bernardo Silva, I don't think he's missed a game in the last 2 months. Every time I turn up to watch City, he seems to be in the starting lineup, which is incredible for a player of his age.
Well, they're impressive, mightily impressive. And he's a driving force, a leader in that dressing room, that's for sure. Estepinian coming forward, low cross into the box. It scoots past Lewis, played against him by Buonanotte, who was coming in at the far post and couldn't get it under control. He then comes back off Lewis and flicks off the thigh of Buonanotte and out for a goal kick away to our right. They worked it down the left-hand side really well there. Estepinian's cross was a fizzer into the box. It was a brilliant cross and it outwitted Lewis, but Buonanotte couldn't get it under control to finish.
This is... They're almost an unlucky team, Brighton, aren't they? You know, creating these really good things, and then I don't know if it's unlucky or just not great play that someone's took their eye off the ball, and it's like the handball goal that was ruled out. He's done everything right, and then it cannons off his hand.
Here is Buonanotte again, tricking his way into the box. He gets to the box, he shoots, it's saved by Ortega, who pushed it away. That was brilliant feat by Buonanotte. Down the left, Matoma gets hold of it now for Brighton. On the attack once more, moving in towards the penalty area. Back to Buonanotte, who puts it through the legs of Gundogan, plays it out wide. It's collected by Caicedo, switched into the box at the far side. It's headed away once more, and it's now De Bruyne who's trying to get away, and Ciso has brought him down. That's going to be a free kick. It's a coming together according to Simon Hooper. Again, Pep's out telling everybody to calm down. Just on those particular stats that you were talking about, I was looking at the attacking stats in the Premier League this season. In terms of shots in the Premier League this campaign, Brighton average more than Manchester City. They're ranked 1, City ranked 2. In terms of shots on target per game, Brighton ranked 1, City ranked 2. In terms of expected goals, City ranked 1, Brighton ranked 2. But then when it comes to finishing, shot conversion, City are first, 16.3%. XG difference, plus 16. Brighton, they're 9th in the table for shot conversion and 11th in the table for XG difference.
Yeah, and we've seen that even in this short, this 30-odd minutes of football, we've seen that here. They've created as good an opportunity as Manchester City have, but have contrived not to get a finish away, I think.
But if they were converting more of those chances, they'd be well in the top four.
Oh, without a doubt. On what you're seeing all the way up to the edge of the box so far tonight, it's quite incredible that their goal tally is 0 tonight, because their football's been sensational.
It is Brighton 0, Manchester City 1, and for the latest odds, head to Ladbrokes, where right now you can get 13-2 on Brighton to win. The draw is 18-5. Manchester City at 5-2 on. It's all thanks to Ladbrokes. Play at ladbrokes.com, 18+, BigGambleAware.org. Enciso from Welbeck, out wide towards the right. Buonanotte, a yard in from the touchline, looks to attack Rico Lewis. You get the impression that Brighton have been such a force going forward in this game and carried such a threat that Manchester City will certainly need another goal if they're going to secure all 3 points here, Stuart.
Well, there's no doubt that Brighton are going to continue up to the 90th minute mark creating chances. It's just whether they've got the ability to, well, they've certainly got the ability, whether they've got the know-how, if you like, or whatever you want to call it, to put the ball in the net and challenge City to get more than just the one goal to win the game.
They may have made changes tonight, but they've still got intent. And then Enciso shoots from the edge of the area and produces a blinding goal. That's top European quality from Brighton and Hove Albion's Diamond of Paraguay. Julio Enciso, Brighton's latest rare find, has cracked in a beauty from 20 yards out, right-footed, over the top of Ortega and into the top corner of the net. Screamer at Stamford Bridge. A good goal at Arsenal. And now this youngster, this teenage sensation, has scored against the champions of England. It's Brighton 1, Manchester City 1.
Well, I'll tell you what, wow, just watching the replay of that, I thought the goal at Stamford Bridge was a great goal. He's aimed for the far corner. He's hit it as true as an arrow. There's no curl on it, it's just gone. Wowee, the crowd are cheering every replay. I was just going to say, have they got the nous to put the ball in the back of City's net? Well, I've just been answered in 30 seconds of opening my mouth, as per normal.
1-1. And what a goal that was from Julio Enciso. It cost just £9.5 million. All of his goals prior to today have been away from home. It's picked up by Estepinian. The ball is taken off Estepinian by Gundogan, but I think there was a handball a little bit further back, and the referee waited to see the advantage and now pulled it back to the edge of the centre circle. And Brighton, who were a little bit unfortunate not to escape there after Walker's handball, have got the ball back again. 1-1 the score. Enciso scoring the goal with a terrific finish.
Well, I would say the scoreline is probably more reflective now of the swing of the game, I would say.
Enciso, his buttons are up and he's charging forward. He's been fouled by Bernardo Silva. It's going to be a yellow card, I think, for Bernardo Silva for a cynical foul on Enciso. Enciso seems to be running the joint at the moment. I think that was for Bernardo Silva, although Carl Walker was the closest player to him. He was the one protesting, I think, but it was definitely Silva who committed the foul.
See, this is, we talk about protecting our better players, and Cisso's picked the ball up there, done brilliantly, and Bernardo Silva, who you wouldn't expect to do something as cynical as that, has hacked the player down. He's got a yellow. Now, I think it's not a red card, but more of a punishment. It should have been meted out there. That could have been a semi-goal scoring opportunity.
Fernandinho would be proud. Ball touched back by Estepinian back towards the left-hand side. He's got it back from Kroos. He sent it into the penalty area. It's taken a little deflection and it's landed on the roof of the net. And Brighton and Hove Albion have created chances at will here, as they have done all season. And the thrill of a European place, the prospect of travelling to far-flung corners of the continent for the first time, that sense of anticipation in the air is driving them forward to guarantee that they will be there. They're just having a little check for a possible handball here as that cross came in, and Simon Hooper has delayed the restart. Now he said He can play on. The ball did come off the hand, I think, of Mahrez, but it was very close to his body. Here is the corner over on the far side to be taken by Pascal Gross. There's a clutch of blue and white shirts inside the penalty area. It's touched to Mitoma. And then Mitoma takes a couple of strides before sending it out to Billy Gilmore. Gross stops the ball, rolls his studs over it, produces a cross towards Colwell, flicked away by Rodri and out towards the near side before it's hacked by Bernardo Silva. And there's a little bit of an ironic jeer from the Brighton fans who are suggesting that they're forcing Manchester City to hoof it long. Why not? It's all good fun at this stage of the season for these two teams, these two brilliant football teams. And the boys will pore over it on the sports bar a little bit later on today. And on breakfast tomorrow morning, Natalie hosting. You'll be able to look back at all of this brilliant action from the Premier League and the implications of it. Here's Buonanotte sending the ball forward. It's headed on by Pervis Estepinian, who found himself in the centre forward position from left back. And again, De Zerbi looks like he needs to take a beta blocker because his blood pressure's going through the roof once more, because he wasn't happy with how that choreographed move ended.
We're getting semi-olays now from the Brighton crowd, supporting their side.
Yeah, bossing it again. What a brilliant football team they've constructed here down at the MX Stadium. And what a wonderful opportunity it is for this group of supporters and this town to see their club go and play in Europe next season. It's going to be terrific. Ball is with Ortega. He clips it forward into midfield, but it's Van Hecke who reaches it. Manchester City have had 65% possession, but Brighton have had 11 shots to Manchester City's 5 shots on target to Manchester City's 2, 3 corners, and they're coming forward again, and Welbeck's been played in by Mitoma in the area, a left-footed shot from the corner of the 6-yard box into the back of the net, but the offside flag is up on this near side and the celebrations are curtailed. Danny Welbeck thought he'd scored against Manchester City. The former Manchester United player had wheeled away in celebration. VAR will check it. It was Mitoma's ball. He was narrowly offside, I think. Danny Welbeck just went a little bit too early. And as he whipped the ball across the goalkeeper at the near post and into the far corner, he went away celebrating, but the flag went up very quickly. Stuart Pearce.
Yeah, that was probably the finish he needed to employ probably about 20 minutes ago when he burst in on the inside right position. Just lofted it high into the corner. One thing on his mind on that occasion, a great finish. The run just not cute enough.
Crikey, apparently it's about to be half-time. Don't stop it. The ball's on the right-hand side with Mahrez moving towards the edge of the area. He gets to the byline. He stops the ball, being trapped by Estepinian. There's space here for De Bruyne, who whips the ball to the far post. Foden with a free header. Oh, it's narrowly wide of the far post. He headed back from whence it came. Steele was stranded. He should have hit the target.
Well, De Bruyne's ball was brilliant. Foden's headed it, and it's just skimmed the top of the crossbar as it meets the post. He's done everything right, lofting it there, and he's just got too much loft on it, actually.
It's so tiny, the margin of error there. 3 minutes of added time at the end of the first half. It's one of those games where you wish they just kept going. Manchester City, who need to maintain their momentum and fitness because they want to be in tip-top shape for the FA Cup final and the Champions League final, both of which that are on Talksport. And they're just under the cosh a little bit here, although Estepinian has done his best to put his own team under the cosh with a ball which has been sent back into the right full-back area from the left side, but Gross has outwitted Foden and played a lovely ball up towards Mitoma. Did brilliantly to get it out, although City have won it back. It was excellent work by Gross. De Bruyne puts pressure on Van Hecke. Colwell sees it back to his goalkeeper, and Jason Steele will float it out towards the near side. Buonanotte goes up with Lewis. Lewis used his body to push Buonanotte in the back. It's going to be a free kick. He's landed awkwardly, and Phil Foden was quickly across to make sure that he was all right. There'll be a little delay here. I mean, it's been a terrific game of football. Brighton have got a great record against the top 16, but really held their own against Manchester City. And Roberto De Zerbi was pretty forthright, Stuart, post-match after the game on Sunday against Southampton. He almost had a little warning to the chairman that they had to match his ambition. Now's the hard work, he said in a rather aggressive tone. We've got to make sure that we keep going and starting to build. He talked about Tony Bloom being the number one fan, but he's also got to be the person that drives this club forward.
Yeah, I think it's a fair comment from the manager. You know, he's developed a brilliant brand of football here. The important thing now is, yes, add to the squad, but keep the players here that are actually delivering at this moment in time.
And they've done a terrific job so far. Brighton and Hove Albion this season has been terrific, and today's been terrific, and Enciso's been terrific. Has got the ball down the left-hand side. He moves towards the edge of the area, produced across. Danny Welbeck was free inside the area, missed the header, and it went over his head, and Rico Lewis almost put it in his own net before eventually clearing in front of his goalkeeper. Enciso was brilliant again.
Well, they've done everything to create a great opportunity for Danny Welbeck, and he's decided to try and get his head behind it, missed it completely, or he should be chesting it and volleying it.
He's got so much, Danny Welbeck, and he's had a lot of injuries which had maybe sort of tempered his abilities. But I remember back to 2012 when he was leading the line for England. Rodri there was dispossessed by Buonanotte, and the accusation was there was a tug back by Buonanotte on Rodri. There wasn't much in that, and he robbed him, and if he had got clear, he was running into green grass.
Well, it's a great opportunity there.
Well, I'm absolutely gutted that's come to an end, because it was brilliant. We're getting all the feels tonight. Everybody on the South Coast has a feeling of the summer of love. You might have thought it would have tempered the actual heat of the football match. You'd be completely wrong in that. This has been terrific. Absolutely brilliant. Everyone's standing and applauding. This is pure football. It's the way it should be played. It's the way we enjoy watching it. It's a terrific encounter between two brilliant teams. It's only half done. The second half is to come. We've seen one of the best goals you'll see all season from Enciso. We've also seen Phil Foden score his 15th of the campaign. At the break, Brighton 1, City 1. So Manchester City have had some great days here. They've won 4 of their last 5 trips to the Amex. You may remember that on the last day of the season in 2019, when they'd already won the title here on that final day, 4-1, they ended up winning the game. But Glenn Murray had put Brighton ahead. They've scored 18 goals now in their 5.5 Premier League meetings to this stadium. They've enjoyed their little trips. I remember going to the party after the 2019 title win with some Manchester City fans down on the seafront. I didn't mean to go, I just wandered down the seafront, the promenade, and the Manchester City fans were, let's just say, enjoying the local hospitality.
You get drawn towards a good time, Samuel.
I do, you're right. That's why I've spent so much time with you. We're back underway at the start of the second half, and there haven't been any changes, I don't think, with these two teams. And Brighton in blue and white stripes, white shorts and white socks, attacking the goal away to our left at the start of the second period. A little bit casual from Estepinian, almost gave the ball straight to Mahrez. I'll run through the two teams. Steele is the Brighton goalkeeper, the right back Gross, Van Hecke, Colwell and Estepinian. Caicedo and Gilmour, the two holders in midfield, and then Buonanotte. Enciso scored a stunner, and Mitoma behind Welbeck, who's hit the crossbar and missed a chance in that first 45 minutes. Manchester City on the ball in red and black diagonal stripes from right shoulder to left hip in the direction of those stripes, and they've got Ortega in goal, Walker, Stones, Rodri and Lewis, Gundogan, Silva and De Bruyne, Mahrez, Haaland and Foden up top. What are you expecting from the second half? I suppose what you're hoping for is more of the same.
Well, there's no doubt. I think we'll get more of the same from both of these teams. You know, they're fully fired up. They're ready to go. They're playing well. What we need is a bit more clinical finishing from both teams, and I think we could have a 3-3 on our hands.
Lewis swivelling away and moving out towards the left-hand side. It's taken on by De Bruyne and played infield, and caught by Gilmour and cleared towards the halfway line, picked up now by Rodri and then sent wide over to the far side and Rico Lewis. This is Talksport, and Brighton have scored 71 goals in the Premier League now this season. They're the first team outside the Big Six to score 70 goals since Aston Villa in 2007-08, who got 71, and the 9th club in Premier League history to score 70 or more goals in a 38-game season. And they probably would have a few more goals if their finishing was a little bit better, which is startling for those around them. It might be an area, if they address in the summer, or if Ferguson kicks on, it might mean they threaten the others. Ball in towards the edge of the box. Haaland tries something spectacular and out of this world. Even he can't land that. He jumps in the air and tries to do an overhead kick. Brighton fans are having a bit of a giggle, shout, get him off, and there's a couple of Eeyores in the background as well. Fun in the sun.
Haaland's actually laughing himself there, you know what I mean? That was such an outlandish attempt at a bicycle kick. But he's a player that's got the ability to deliver.
Yep. I mentioned about the Brighton goals. 60 of them have come, Stuart, since De Zerbi was appointed. And in that time, they're the third top scorers in the Premier League and the fifth top scorers in Europe's top 5 leagues.
That's impressive.
That is amazing.
And that is a team that probably you would say don't convert as much as they should.
Yeah. Here is Bernardo Silva giving the ball back by Caicedo. Inadvertently into the box goes Foden. He drifts it over the top of Steele. Came out and didn't get hold of the ball. It's cleared out towards the near side, and Matoma now trying to get the better of Walker. Good luck with that fella. It's turned over by Walker. Back in field it goes to Mahrez. Now it's onto De Bruyne. Mahrez again. It's blocked and then picked up on the edge of the area by Haaland. It ricocheted in his path. He played it wide to Gundogan, who took a touch, then shot towards the far corner. Took a little nick, goes out for a corner. Well, maybe if he'd hit it earlier, he might have gone straight to goal. But he took a touch, went wide, narrowed the angle for himself, and still managed to generate a corner kick.
I tell you what you've got to admire about Haaland is, you know, he's desperate for goals. He scores a lot of goals, Sam, but what he does, if other players are on, he feeds them, and he done exactly that then.
He's still hungry for more goals, is Erling Haaland, there's no doubt about it. 52 in 50 appearances, but those numbers that are kind of Messi and Ronaldo-like from their Spanish days certainly are... there's more to come from him over the next 3 games of the season. Here is Foden inside the area from the corner. Comes back to Lewis, edge of the box. Left-footed shot. It's scuffed into the arms of Steele. Going to be cleared away. Just a quick word. There's going to be a change here. Cole Palmer is going to come on. Now, it's unusual to make a substitution within 5 minutes of the restart, isn't it? Does that indicate that there may well be a problem for someone?
Well, it normally does, but with Pep and Manchester City, I'm not sure I would make that assessment, to be honest with you. Normally someone's come in, mentioned that they feel a little bit stiff, a little bit tight, or one thing and another, and then you make that change after 5 minutes. But I don't think that's the case. I've not seen anyone labouring at this moment.
Van Hecke has just taken the ball from the centre-back position into midfield, looked to try and progress the ball upfield. It's come back again and it's gone out for a throw on this near side. But it's Phil Foden who's coming off, and he is hobbling just a little bit over on that far side. He's going to be replaced by Cole Palmer, and we're going to get Ferguson and McAllister as well for Brighton, who are going to respond in kind by making a couple of changes. And this is going to be extra attacking power for Brighton and Hove Albion.
Yeah, I would say Foden certainly was suffering with something at half-time. He seemed to know he was the one coming off. So that's an indicator for me.
Ferguson coming on for Enciso. Enciso stopped, looked over and went, really? Me? Yeah, it is you. Give someone else a chance, mate, of scoring another goal. They've found some great talented youngsters, haven't they, which bodes well for the future. 11 now of their 71 goals have been scored by teenagers. Evan Ferguson has 6 of those. Enciso has 3, and he's replaced by the Irish teenage sensation. And Billy Gilmore's coming off from McAllister as well. But I think actually those changes, in effect, could strengthen their team going forward.
Well, it's certainly, you're bringing the World Cup winner on to start with, you know. But I've got to say, Enciso was certainly eye-catching in the first half. I've got a feeling that there were changes that he had up his sleeve already. Yeah, irrelevant to the scoreline. And they're going to make moves in the summer, aren't they? There's going to be an evolution. Caicedo, McAllister, Sanchez probably all going to leave the club. They are close to signing Dahoud from Dortmund, a midfielder. João Pedro has already signed on the dotted line from Watford, and Milner likely to join the ranks here at the Amex Stadium as well. And there will be others. There'll be some diamond that you've never heard of that they unearthed from somewhere. Ortega sends it into the evening sky. Dust descends on the Sussex Downs as the ball is scooped forward by Colwell into the path of McAllister, bumped on by Buonanotte into Ferguson, who holds it up well. He's a tall, very powerful looking striker is Evan Ferguson. He's only 18 years of age. He's already got 10 goals this season. He's the top scoring teenager in the Premier League.
Here's Haaland, the top scorer in the Premier League, looking for a return ball from Gundogan, which didn't come his way. It's worked out wide left instead. City on the attack with Cole Palmer, edge of the area, left-footed drive, pushed away by Jason Steele, comes through to Mahrez, away by Estepinian before he can get hold of it, and then Mahrez goes into the right channel to shut down the clearance, and it goes out of play on this near side, and it's away for a throw into Brighton. We play 53 minutes. De Zerbi still trying to wind everybody up on the bench, wind everybody up on the touchline. It doesn't stop. Constantly burning off energy on the near side. I thought Arteta and Pep were quite animated figures on the touchline, but this guy's a different level, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. And if decisions don't go his way, he barks at the fourth official. Literally barks, don't he? He pulls an unusual face.
To be honest, he was quite he's quite aggressive to sort of deal with in an interview scenario. He almost sort of like, he's really amped up and sort of on the edge right from the minute that we start talking about the possibilities of the game. But those videos of him on social media this week sort of show that he's got a very Latin spirit. Let's just put it that way. Here is De Bruyne back to Gundogan into the right full-back position, and Walker. It is 1-1 on Talksport with Car Finance 24/7. Search Car Finance 24/7 today. Tomorrow night, Manchester United versus Chelsea. At the weekend, we've got the playoffs, all finals for you available on the Talksport network, including that huge match between Coventry and Luton Town, which is 4:45 on Saturday. The final day of the season is going to be epic, and it's going to be covered right here on Talksport in the best possible way. Adrian will be at Everton, I'll be at Leicester. We'll have commentary from Leeds Tottenham on Talksport too. Here on the left-hand side for Manchester City, Cole Palmer sees the ball into the feet of Bernardo Silva, who goes down under a tug, he claimed, inside the penalty area. Caicedo and he are having a little bit of an argument on the edge of the box. The referee said no penalty, no foul. Well, there did look to be a pullback by Caicedo on the edge of the area. He's grabbed hold of his arm. That's a penalty, isn't it?
Well, for all intents and purposes, I think there was enough in it, and there was no reason for Silva to stop running and go to ground.
It is a foul. How has that not been pulled back for a penalty, or even looked at by the VAR? Ball cleared by Ortega, given back to Gross in the right full-back position. Brighton was saying they didn't get very much help from VAR, but they got some there. Ferguson on the edge of the area, plays it down the right. Gross goes into the penalty area, wins it back. Ferguson drives it towards the near post, and the goalkeeper has to spoon it round the post and out for a corner to Brighton and Hove Albion. It's still 1-1.
Yeah, good set-up play there by Brighton, and then it was just, they turned it over with John Stones, then he got a little bit loose with his pass, and a great strike, bounced up to Ferguson, great strike, and you've got to give Ortega credit here, just guarding his near post.
It's a good chance for Brighton, that, as we approach the 56th minute of the game. Corner on the far side. Once again to be taken by Pascal Gross. Is very good from set-piece deliveries, right-footed in towards the near post, picked on by Ferguson, away by Rodri, comes back towards the edge of the box. Estepinian cracks it, hits the first man and comes out of the penalty area, where it's recycled by Caicedo. Matoma taking on Walker down the left-hand side, gets to the byline and then turns it back again, plays it infield, and it's down with Estepinian, who plays it centrally to McAllister and then square towards the far side, and it's with Gross, who'll lift this into the box. Will he? He waits and then does that deep towards Danny Welbeck. It's missed by him, and then Matoma strikes it. No pressure on Matoma. He was unmarked to the far post. He swiped his right foot and it couldn't control the volley, and it goes behind and away for a goal kick. What a chance.
These are really good opportunities for players of this standard that they've created tonight, and just failed to either use the right technique or finish in the correct manner.
Is the reason that Brighton create so many chances but don't score so many chances now the fact that they've got top quality players that they've unearthed from different corners of the world, but they're not quite the finished article just yet, and there's still a slight rawness about them, and then they do make those technical decisions in the vital moment? Could that be a reason for it?
Well, if you look at the front line that they've got at the moment, Danny Welbeck has never been really a 20-25 goals a season centre forward. There's more to his play, links play, he's shown that tonight. I think he's linked play brilliantly for the team. And Ferguson, a young man who's, you know,
he'll score goals eventually.
He's just getting better and better. I really like the kid, you know, and as I say, but they'll make mistakes, but they're not I score 20 goals a season centre forwards at this present moment.
I think Ferguson will be. He's got 5 in his last 5, 10 all season.
Yep.
But I know what you mean. He doesn't play every week, does he, at this moment in time? Here's Cole Palmer down the left-hand side, moving towards the edge of the box, shepherded out of the area by Gross. And then he's held off by Palmer. And it goes out over on the far side. Julian Alvarez has come on for Kevin De Bruyne in the last few moments. A little switch from Pep Guardiola. And here is Caicedo in the right full-back position. Gross clips it forward, up towards Ferguson. And then McAllister is beaten to it by Gundogan. It goes into the box. Colwell doesn't deal with that particularly well. In the right full-back area, Gross has to come across and hoist it into the sky. And it goes out over on the far side. Collected by Palmer. Back to towards Bernardo Silva, and then they float it forward, Brighton. Ferguson trying to hold on to it, dispossessed by Mahrez. 1-1 the score on Talksport, and we have played 59 minutes of this rather intriguing encounter. McAllister and Estepinian get in a tangle with Julian Alvarez, who has a fantastic goal scoring record himself. 14 in 22 starts for City. He's scored 17 goals this season. He's looking to score for a 3rd successive game. Not bad, is it, that you've got Erling Haaland, who you've just signed. They didn't have a centre forward last year, so this year they thought they'd buy 2, and between them they've scored 69 goals.
That's not too bad. It makes you sleep well as a manager at night time, I can assure you. Having signed the odd centre forward that haven't scored that amount of goals.
Here is Cole Palmer, far side, the City left. Infield it goes to the captain, Gundogan. Gundogan, whose future is still unclear. Out to Walker. Walker shooting from distance, didn't catch that right. Drags it well wide of goal. And it's out for a goal kick away to our right-hand side. It's 150th Premier League start for Manchester City today. Kyle Walker.
By the way, at half-time, you didn't go down to the tea room at half-time.
I did.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I missed you.
Did you get yourself a cookie? Because the young lady down there was guarding the cookies.
Were they live?
I had to show passport and driving licence to get a cookie. Well, it was ridiculous.
Cookies are rare commodities in Sussex, I'm afraid.
I never knew that.
Everybody eats a lot healthier down here. Here is Gundogan. He's given the ball away to Colwell. Edge of the area is Welbeck, and now it's come back to Ferguson. He's on the edge of the D. He's encouraged to shoot. He didn't do that. He travels with the ball, gets it. Oh, that's a poor ball back to him by Welbeck, and it's coming away to Manchester City. But Welbeck has scurried back and won it off Julian Alvarez, who's won it back again. Then Welbeck's won it again in the left wing position. Gives it to Matoma. Matoma edge of the box. McAllister encouraged to shoot. He's going to straight into the body of the defender. Comes back to Caicedo, who strikes. It's blocked by Lewis. It's all hands to the pump for Manchester City. Is this real? Are we seeing this? The ball's on the right side with Gross trying to twist his way into a crossing position. Rico Lewis comes across and scraps it. Gross goes back in and tries to win it, and Manchester City can't get out of their own half.
There was players winding up to shoot on the edge of the box there with their sort of leg up behind their neck almost, you know, and the crowd edging them on to shoot. I've got to say, this sums Danny Welbeck up there. A loose pass by Danny Welbeck, and he was straight after it to amend the mistake that he made and turn possession over. That's what he gives you in a team.
Colwell's come a little bit shorter to win those kicks out from Ortega, and he's headed that ball forward but didn't actually get onto the second ball. And now there's a chance to break for Manchester City with Bernardo Silva working it wide. Cole Palmer, who created a goal against Chelsea, sends the ball into the centre. It's away by Van Hecker, who steps in front of both Mahrez and Haaland and clears it out towards the far side. Brighton have been brilliant, haven't they? They've competed, they've gone toe-to-toe with the champions of England. Maybe it's got something to do with the fact that everyone's got a little bit more freedom because of the situation that they find themselves in. They're going to the Europa League. There's no question they get a point here tonight that is going to be the case. City have already won the title, but Brighton have posted their highest ever league finish. They've set club records for most points, most wins, most goals, equalled the record, and could have set, may still do, set a new one tonight for the most home wins. The last time they registered 10 home wins in a season was 1980-81. Now, because it's our last one together this season, I thought it was only out to ask you a music question.
Oh, beautiful. From the 81.
Yes, it's your era.
Oh, it's banging my era, don't worry about that.
I'm going to give you a couple of minutes, but I want you to tell me what was the best-selling song of 1981. Meanwhile, whilst City rests with the ball at their feet, I'll tell you about the latest odds. It's currently Brighton 1, Manchester City 1. For the latest odds, you can head to Ladbrokes, where right now you can get Brighton to win at 12-5, the draw 13-10, and the Manchester City victory is 15-8. It's all thanks to Ladbrokes. Play at ladbrokes.com. 18 plus, begambleaware.org. This is Talksport. Ball is with Rodri, approaching the halfway line for Manchester City. Steers it wide and he misses two black and red shirts, and it goes straight out for a throw-in the right full-back position. Any guesses?
Yes, I have.
Oh, go on.
Get ready, here it comes.
Here it comes, yeah.
Vienna, Ultravox.
No.
ABC or Human League.
Yes. Oh, okay.
Am I close?
You're very close.
Oh, I knew it. Don't You Want Me, Baby?
The number one selling record of 1981 is Don't You Want Me by the Human League.
Oh, I pulled one out on the last day of the season.
And
working together.
After the match, Stuart Pearce will be doing a lap of honour at the Amex Stadium as a result.
I tell you what, I might go and have a Phil Oakey haircut come next week.
Here's McAllister in central midfield. If you get number 2, you can have 2 haircuts.
Oh.
Here's Estepinian down the left-hand side. Swings the ball into the near post. Chested down by Matoma. Goalkeeper comes out and just about pokes it behind. Well, he just had a heavy touch there as that ball came in from Estepinian. Matoma couldn't softly take it into his body. He swiveled and hit it against Matoma, against Ortega, but by which time he turned and Ortega was already on him.
And I'm going to throw at you now, Soft Cell, Tainted Love.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Second biggest selling single of 1981. If you can get the third one.
Let's get back to the football for a while. There's people actually listening.
Corner away to our right-hand side, our left-hand side. 65 minutes on the clock. Brighton 1, Manchester City 1. It's going to be Pascal Gross to bring Brighton a delivery into the near post. Flicked on by Ferguson, looking for Caicedo, is looking at the far stick. It's headed away and it goes out on the right-hand side. And Estepinian will try to recycle it once again. Moving down the left is Gross. Gross with Lewis just sitting off him. Brighton dominating possession again in the second half, the second 45, which hasn't seen any addition to the score.
Sam, if you were a McAllister or a Caicedo, would you want to leave this football club at this moment in time? Or are you intrigued to stay here and have a tilt at a European campaign, a Premier League campaign, and say, listen, if I'm going to leave, it won't be this summer. Things are going too well.
Well, I think when you are a player from South America, you've earned your stripes at a team like this, you've come to the attention of the big boys in the Premier League. I think the riches on offer from elsewhere are going to be so big that they're not going to be able to turn it down. Here's Alvarez on the attack down the right-hand side. Haaland into the area, left-footed drive from the edge of the box, and he brought that down and then shot it very quickly. It was at a 45-degree angle. It was some way out from Haaland, but he immediately brought the ball down and fizzed it towards goal, and he just didn't quite get it on target. And he wasn't too far away from that sort of effort. That was pure technique, that, wasn't it?
It certainly was. I mean, his first touch on his chest was brilliant. Set it up where he wanted it and just pulled it across the face of the goal.
And ask you a question, I'd like to see what happens here next. Here's Alvarez down the right side, moving in towards the edge of the penalty area. He's got Mahrez backing him up. Mahrez moves towards the right edge of the box, left-footed, plays it infield towards Alvarez, who tries to shoot, takes a deflection. Estepinian attempts to clear. There's a spin on the ball which will take it into the air, and then there's a tangle between old England teammates Welbeck and Walker. They play on, and the ball was given away cheaply there by Manchester City, and Buonanotte has won it, and he's moved up towards halfway, and there's space on this left-hand side for Kaoru Matoma. But Kyle Walker is coming back, and it was almost like he was riding an electric bicycle and then turned the battery on. Have you ever done that on an electric bike? Because you go 10 times faster, and that's what just happened to Walker as he ran back to try and block the attempt from Mitoma. Here comes McAllister, back out to Matoma again, left wing position, moves up towards the edge of the box, goes one way, but Mahrez prods it out against the Japanese, and it's a goal kick away to our left-hand side.
Yeah, in answer to your question, no, on my chopper bike I never had electrics. But
they'll probably make them with electrics now, to be fair.
Yeah, let's hope so. I'll tell you what, it's fantastic watching Cole Walker defend, isn't it?
It's brilliant.
You know, some players have got speed but don't use it to the ultimate of their effect, but this lad, even his defensive positions, he almost says go on then, and shows you where you can go, and then shuts the door on you very, very quickly.
That was just amazing to watch, wasn't it? Because it's like he is running fast, and then all of a sudden it goes beyond that. It's almost like watching The Flash. He just turns into a completely different character and just eats up the ground so quickly. It must be so dispiriting to be a winger that thinks they've stolen a march on him. 1-1 the score. This is Talksport. We're live at the Amex Stadium. Here is Ferguson into McAllister, onto Matoma, out wide to the left, is chested down by Mahrez. Didn't take enough care with the ball there, Matoma, and then he's brought down Mahrez. It's going to be a free kick 10 yards inside Brighton territory on the Manchester City right-hand side. 18 shots on goal for De Zerbi's men. 7 shots on target, 5 corners. City have had 10 shots, 4 on target, 1 corner in the game. But they've dominated possession, they've had 60% of it.
Yeah. The game in itself's been intriguing. I hope someone gets another goal, so I'm interested to see what the dynamic will be tactically from then on for the team that get their nose in front. I know what the other team will do, they'll chase the game, but whether, if a team is in front, whether it be Brighton or Manchester City, whether they'll say, right, we're going to be a bit more cautious in our approach.
Manchester City's supporters follow their team in numbers. They would have been pretty confident of winning here tonight. They last dropped points in a 1-1 draw with Nottingham Forest on February the 18th. And they had 23 shots to Nottingham Forest for that day. They are in danger of dropping points here for the first time in 3 months. Tony's going to be taken on this near side. Just a quick swig of water for Walker, just to refuel. Into Alvarez, who runs square from the right side of the Brighton half into the middle. He twirls around with the ball at his feet. Gundogan gets it back again, then it's back out by Alvarez towards the far side. Moving forward towards the left, it's now with Cole Palmer. These two teams had their aims at the beginning of the season. They've both achieved them. Here is Gundogan out on the left-hand side. In the league, that is. Manchester City still got a couple more to tick off, like the FA Cup and the Champions League. Both finals are live on Talksport. So is the Europa League final next Wednesday night. And so is the Europa Conference League final. We're off to Prague for West Ham's game against Fiorentina in the second week in June. Here is Rico Lewis riding 2 challenges and moving away from Buonanotte into Alvarez, who gets hacked by Caicedo. That was a little bit aggressive from Caicedo. And the Ecuadorian swiping away the Argentine's legs. There's quite a few South Americans out there on this field of play.
Yeah, just got the timing of that totally wrong. I don't think there was any malice in it.
Roberto De Zerbi just having a conversation with his team as Pep Guardiola decides that he will go on and act as the ball boy, comes running onto the pitch to take a pass up towards the midpoint of the Brighton half. Graham Scott, the 4th official, almost threatened to have a go at him, and then realised that Pep was just having a playful run out, and they had a laugh and a joke about it, and the free kick is underway. A little handshake with Roberto De Zerbi again. They still managed to untie themselves from that clinch earlier on, De Zerbi and Guardiola. Ball back towards the midpoint of the City half. Ortega has it.
I've got a question for you.
Go for it.
There was a lot of talk with the World Cup in the middle of this season about injury, fatigue for players, tiringness of players, all of those type of things. I can honestly say I don't think I've seen it.
Well, I mean, I spoke to Roberto De Zerbi about it earlier, and he was saying, not necessarily about that specific incident, but he was saying, like, Dunk can't play 90 minutes tonight. McAllister can't play 90 minutes tonight. Veltman's coming back from injury, can't play 90 minutes tonight. I think there is a bit, especially here at Brighton where the squad is not as deep. They've had to rotate the last few games. They didn't play a full team at Newcastle because they wanted to target the game against Southampton. They left McAllister on the bench for that. And they have suffered with injuries towards the end of this campaign. Leroy Colwell, I mean, he wasn't involved in the World Cup, but he hasn't been able to play a game every 4 days. So there has been injuries, but I think you're right. You know, the quality of the football hasn't stopped, has it? I mean, Manchester City haven't had that many injuries. The only one who's got an injury at the moment is Nathan Ake.
Yeah, I'm talking across the league, not just what we've got in front of us at the moment, but across the leagues. I've seen it as exciting, probably, if not more exciting this season, if you like. It's been.
Do you know what? It hasn't been a vintage season in that there have been some poor teams in it. Chelsea, Tottenham, very disappointed. We haven't had the title race we were anticipating, but it's been a season full of terrific games. Here is Rico Lewis, just moving up towards the edge of the centre circle. He's played a loose pass and Matoma has nabbed it, and then Bernardo Silva backing up his mate, wins it back again, and Alvarez finds Gundogan. Gundogan back to Alvarez once again. On the right side is Mahrez. Mahrez went to go down the right side. Van Hecke's gone down. They're playing on here, Manchester City, and the referee's going to stop it because Van Hecke's out of position. It's not a head injury. It's Simon Hooper's being kind. And they're going to make a change here. Veltman and Undav are going to come on for Brighton and Hove Albion. Van Hecke feels that he was fouled by Alvarez. The referee said he wasn't.
Well, if you're a young man making his 7th, 8th appearance this season, well, please son, get up.
Is it because once being touched by Alvarez he crumpled like a crushed up envelope?
Well, what players have got to realise that they're trying to cheat their fellow professional, basically.
Here are the changes. Buonanotte coming off and Veltman coming on. Undav is coming on and he's going to replace Welbeck. By the way, 3rd and 4th best-selling songs of 1981 both belong to Adam and the Ants.
That will be Ant Music.
No, Stand and Deliver and Prince Charming. Did you text me that? Adrian Durham was texting me that beforehand. He already guessed.
Who, the award winner, you mean?
The award winner did, yeah. By the way, the award winner.
Yes.
Did I tell you what he did? Well, you know, because you've had one. But you know, you couldn't get a cookie. You got your sugar fix from the award winner who brought 8 French fancies with him.
Well,
a cake stuff, by the way.
That's not a euphemism, Mrs. Durham, if you're listening.
Half an hour gone in the second half. Well, we're all getting in the season now, aren't we?
Aren't we just?
It's Talksport.
In fact, Adrian's the 9th French fancy, isn't he?
You know he can speak French. Here is Mitoma moving down the left-hand side. Undav has just come on as a sub into the box. Left-hand side is Ferguson. Oh, he's overhit that, Undav. And it goes right outside the penalty area on the right-hand side. It's retrieved by Gross. Back into the box it goes. High into the air. Away by Bernardo Silva. And then it's collected by McAllister. And then sent into the box to Ferguson, who's got space. He's taken it down beautifully. And then he just couldn't get it under control. Comes back to Estepinian. Oh! He's cracked that left foot and it's hit narrowly wide. Well, Ferguson managed to get some space inside the area but couldn't get it under control, so he sent it back to the edge of the box, and waiting there to get hold of it was Estepinian, and Purvis Estepinian came onto that and hit that like a rocket, and it was so close to the outside edge of the right-hand upright that I think it took the paint off. Here's Mitoma into the area again down the left-hand side. It's cleared away this time by Ilkay Gundogan, and it's taken upfield towards Alvarez, and then he's penalised for a push. It's going to be a Brighton free kick.
Both managers not too sure which way that free kick should have gone.
It did go in favour of the home team. Listen to the noise. It is great coming down here. It's not the biggest stadium, 31,000 can get in here, but it's beautifully appointed. It's got great facilities. It's a sort of haven in the middle of the Sussex Downs for football fans. The train line runs up to it. You get here from Brighton in about 7 minutes, and they're very hospitable to the away fans. They give them pretty much almost all of the end away to our right-hand side, the south stand. And there's 3,000 from Manchester City. I don't know if they still do it, but they used to put on, in the away end, a local beer from the travelling area. So they might, get a Manchester brewer involved and put on a local beer from the visiting club in that end.
I'll tell you what, they might get a beer, but they certainly wouldn't get a cookie from the frugalness that I saw down in that press lounge.
That's rubbed you up the wrong way, hasn't it?
Well, I didn't see the need in it, honestly. She was so guarded with them.
We'll get you a cookie, it's all right.
I've had one, but only one. That's the problem.
You had to fight for it. That's the De Zerbi way. If you want it, you have to fight for it. 1-1 the score, 12 minutes to go. Here comes Cole Palmer on the left-hand side for Manchester City. It's into Rico Lewis, then on to Gundogan. Back out wide it goes to Cole Palmer again. 1-1 the score as Palmer in towards Haaland. Back post, coming in, thunders a header from 4 yards out. Jason Steele had been drawn to the near post. Haaland was lurking at the back, and there was an empty net for him to score his 53rd goal of the season. The superhuman striker, whose hunger for goals knows no limit, is at it again.
Well, he's been a little bit scruffy, a little bit loose in some of his finishing tonight and his hold-up play. But once again, when you wake up tomorrow morning, the name Haaland is on the score sheet. Incredible, and the movement's good. Oh, there's a little tug. I'll tell you what, there's a little tug on a shirt on Colville before the ball actually got in there, and if they have a look at this, it wouldn't surprise me if they chalk it off.
Well, I'm not having that. I'll tell you why. Because there should have been a penalty in the first half for something similar, and it wasn't given or referred to VAR. Now this is going to be referred to VAR, checking a possible foul. Now bearing in mind that Simon Hooper has been called over to the monitor, which is just in front of us, away to our right, if he's been called, he's going to be advised by the VAR, Chris Kavanagh, that there was a tug on the shirt.
Yeah, you've got to rule that out, to be honest with you. If you don't rule that out, this will follow on from Brighton's harsh justice at Tottenham, I think.
OK, well, it is ruled out. It's still 1-1, and Haaland doesn't have his 53rd goal of the season. And actually, when you look at it, I agree with it, but it does raise the prospect of asking the question about what happened in the first half when Manchester City should have had a penalty, because there was a similar tug.
Yeah, on Silver, I think.
So, Pep Guardiola, furious about it, is coming over towards the near side, having a word with Graham Scott. He's now pulling his assistant away. They're unhappy about it. There's no point in getting really badly involved. But what they can't understand is why that tug is given as a foul to deny a goal. They didn't get a chance to score a goal. There was a similar tug in the first half, and I can understand that protest.
Yeah.
Caicedo running up towards the edge of the area, down the right side. The cross into the box is deep. Mitoma with a header over the top of the crossbar. Not a bad reaction from Brighton. There's a bit of a bad reaction down on the touchline. I must admit, Pep Guardiola has had to push his assistant Rodolfo Borrell back towards the first roll of the seating here. He's not happy at all.
No, everyone's at it now.
Yeah, Pep's moaning to the assistant of Brighton and Hove Albion.
As you say, all you want is consistency. If you're going to give that as a free stop a goal scoring opportunity, it probably was a penalty earlier on.
And if you give one, you've got to give the other. And the VAR, I think, is a victim here of him being inconsistent. He should have called the foul in the first half. He didn't, and then he scored a similar one in the second. I mean, you might argue the first one wasn't clear and obvious, but clearly we saw it and we thought it was pretty obvious.
Indeed.
Here is McAllister moving towards the edge of the penalty, slipping in Undav. His control isn't good enough, and it bounces off his foot, and Ortega can come out and smother. This is Talksport.
Well, I'm not sure we'll have a winner. I'm not sure anyone deserves to win the game or lose the game. for that.
Yeah, that's probably the phrase, isn't it? No one really deserves to lose. Although Pep Guardiola is furious about the fact that
I'll tell you what, Pep's just got hold of the linesman there and threw him out of the way.
and he also there's something happened with a sort of a board, but you know the boards that you lift up to put your substitutes on, it's collapsed. The Hublot sponsorship ring, which goes around the electronic board which displays the numbers, has been thrown onto the floor, and it's sort of the middle of it's come out. There was a little bit of a contretemps down on this touchdown. They are getting very heated, the Manchester City bench, and he's got a yellow card, Pep Guardiola, for his actions, and he's still mouthing off at Simon Hooper. It's not worth it. You've won the title. Leave here. I know he's a very competitive guy, but there'll be Manchester United fans and Arsenal fans going now, dock them points for their behaviour. That's not going to happen, I'm afraid. He's just slightly irritated, I think, by the disallowing of that goal, and there's still a bit of anger emanating from the touchline. John Stones has come off, Sergio Gomez has come on, and the other change is Bernardo Silva for Calvin Phillips. He was terrific with us, by the way, after the game against Chelsea.
Yeah, I think Pep's just gone over there, just make one or two apologies. I think he realises he overstepped the mark slightly.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
I think wrestling of the lines person is frowned upon in these parts.
That assistant looks quite handy as well, doesn't he? He's got incredible back muscles.
Yeah.
Listen, people can't see it. We can. I've got to describe these things. We're not back underway. We're waiting for a free kick. Why? Durham's head is in his hands. Listen, you have to just paint a picture of what's going on in front of you.
You've done me just then. I'm visualising now. You know, like the muscle men make their boobs go up and down by flexing them.
Yeah.
No reason.
Oh dear. It's probably a good thing this is our last one until the next season. Ball headed away by...
You know that last day at school where you can bring Kaplunk in and all that
toys,
sort of toys?
Yeah, videos.
That is today with us.
Yeah, it is a little bit. Me, you, a box of French Francis, and some 1980s music. Oh, this sounds like a podcast, actually, doesn't it? Gundogan playing the ball from inside his own half out towards the right-hand side. Walker allows it to drift over his shoulder. Lewis forward into Mahrez. He tries to turn. 1-1 the score, and we're in the 85th minute of the game. It's Talksport. The first half was much better than the second. It was a lot more open, there was more chances, but it's still been fun. Rico Lewis just getting some instructions here as they try to reconfigure their team, Manchester City. Walker playing as a right back. They've got Rodri as one of the centre halves. I'm trying to work out who's playing as the other. I think it might be a sort of back three of Walker, Rodri and Gomez, although Gomez is very high up on the left-hand side. Phillips and maybe it's a back four with Walker playing as a centre half and Rico Lewis playing as the right back. That's what it is.
Yeah, I'm seeing it that way, I think.
Yeah, and he moves up towards the halfway line. Space out wide for Mahrez, who takes it on now. Rico Lewis had to get instructions from Pep Guardiola to find that out because he didn't quite understand it. Roberto De Zerbi and Pep Guardiola are sharing some words down in front of us as the ball goes back from Caicedo into Colwell, and then Colwell will clear through the middle of the pitch. It's won by Rodri, the only player on the field who has his shirt tucked into his waist always. And Gundogan plays it out towards Alvarez, who's dispossessed by Estepinian. Is he going to be a winner in the game? And we've got literally 4 minutes to go. Ball forward was aimed towards Ferguson, stepping out to win it though, and intervene was Rodri, and he clears it out towards the far side, the left. You're listening to Talksport. Another thrilling evening. And Pep Guardiola once again in a advantageous position, winning the title once again. Calvin Phillips with a late challenge on McAllister. McAllister had skipped past him, and that was late from Phillips. It's not usual for City though, this experience. They sealed the season's title with 3 games to spare, making it only the second of the 7 Premier League titles that was sealed before the final day. In 17-18 they did it with 5 games left to play. They usually have been pressed all the way to the end of the season. And Guardiola, though, continuing to rack up impressive statistics. 5 Premier League wins in 6 seasons at City, 11 titles in 3 different countries, 30 trophies he's won, more than Ancelotti, more than Mourinho, and he could be on the verge of an historic treble. City have the ball with Mahrez inside their own half. Mahrez is dispossessed illegally. It's going to be a free kick to City, and we've got 2.5 minutes to play.
Well, I've just had a text commending you on your music quiz, by the way, from Mike Lomax, one of the Warrington directors.
Warrington Wolves Rugby League Club.
Indeed.
Oh, great. I'll come up with you and watch a game one day. Does everyone get a free jacket, by the way?
This isn't free. I had to pay for this in the shop, I'll have you know.
That's a rarity.
On a particularly cold day.
Here is Walker. Centrally he goes. He plays it towards Calvin Phillips. They work it, Manchester City, towards the left-hand side. 2 minutes of normal time to go on Talksport. And you're listening to Talksport with... Now, don't forget, we're Now Sports. You can stream all the Sky Sports action like Brighton versus Manchester City live right now for $11.99. No contract search. Now Sports. Remember, straight after the game, you'll be able to have your say. And maybe you'll be asking the boys on the sports bar whether or not they think that Haaland goal should have been disallowed, or that penalty should have been given in the first half. Either way, Manchester City will feel good enough to win the game. Brighton might think that as well. Free kick to Manchester City in the last few seconds of the game, in towards Haaland from the left-hand side, and Mahrez's delivery is a little bit too high. He gets only a glancing header on it, and it goes behind and away for a goal kick away to our right-hand side. Brighton have had some great highlights over the course of the season. Getting a 1-1 draw here will certainly be one of those, but beating Manchester United twice will be up there. Their performance against Manchester United the other week was particularly impressive. Their record against the Big Six is only second to Manchester City's. Getting into Europe, obviously, for the first time ever. The goals they've scored, the energy, those bonkers draws with Brentford and Leicester. How did they draw that game with Brentford? But it was brilliant entertainment. And the revenge mission against Chelsea after they'd lost their manager to the Blues and then beat them 4-1. And a first win for Roberto De Zerbi. It's been a great season for Brighton and Hove Albion, a memorable one.
Pep's laughing his head off. You've never seen anything like it. Haaland's laid the ball off. He's turned round. Van Hecker's got hold of him, and they literally waltzed 10 yards together down the pitch, which bent Pep over. Oh, incredible.
He was bent over double giggling, wasn't he?
He was.
Yeah, a little wrestling match. He couldn't understand why the referee didn't take any action. Here's Mahrez playing it centrally into Haaland, who tussles with Van Hecker again. And the ball comes up towards halfway, released by Brighton to Ferguson. Ferguson nudges it on. Estepinian, he's got Walker on his tail. Oh, and then he's miskicked the ball. As he tried, do you know what that was? That was pressure. He knew Walker was coming behind him, so he rushed it and didn't get it right. Matoma's got it back though, on the edge of the penalty area. Didn't see Gundogan in his wing mirrors. Gundogan's nabbed it, and the ball's gone up to Haaland. Haaland's been wrestled to the floor by Van Hecker, who has literally tried to nab his shirt a little bit too early, and the yellow card has eventually come out for Van Hecker.
Well, Van Hecker's decided to sort of be a bit more aggressive now. This is the same kid that was lying on the floor 10 minutes ago, wasn't it?
You did tend to get touched tight, and he got very touchy and very tight.
Well, he certainly did. Well, he got that tight that Haaland couldn't spin him behind him, so I rest my case. He's got himself a booking on the back of it.
He put
no goal conceded.
2 arms and a leg wrapped round the striking Viking. Lewis. 92 minutes on the clock. We've got 4 added, and Manchester City are going to drop points for the first time since February. It'll still be 25 games unbeaten, and it'll be the first draw for Brighton in 10 games. Not since that mental 3-3 with Brentford have they drawn a match. It's been win or defeat for the fabulous Brighton Hove Albion. Roberto De Zerbi has done a terrific job, guaranteed now to be playing in the Europa League. There's not even a smidgen of doubt about it. There's no discussion about it. There's no hint of a possibility of Aston Villa nabbing their place in the competition which they have deserved to qualify for, with their brilliant football, their progressive play, and their attitude, their fight, their desire, instilled by their fiery manager, who has been stalking the touchline like the Tasmanian devil since we kicked off. Here's the cross from the left-hand side for Manchester City, and Gomez's effort is far too hefty. It goes behind and away for a goal kick away to our right-hand side. After the game, we will bring you live interviews with both Roberto De Zerbi and Pep Guardiola. A fiery Pep Guardiola. I'm sure he'll be in playful mood. Didn't want to do too many interviews on Sunday night. Took a while to come out. Brighton, I think, will come out and do a lap of honour after this game and thank their fans for their support. The Manchester City fans have been in fine voice again away to our right as Ferguson gets the ball off his goalkeeper Jason Steele. He's dispossessed by Calvin Phillips, and Phillips plays it back to Sergio Gomez. Into Phillips once again, out to the left. It's taken on by Gomez towards the left-hand side, collected by Cole Palmer. Moving forward for Manchester City. Manchester City are about to go even further clear of Arsenal at the top of the table, and that gap now is getting significant, and if they were to win and Arsenal to lose on the final day, it'd be sizable. 11 points. Here on the right hand side, the ball is with Matoma. Going through the middle is Undab, but it's going to run through to the left, and Ferguson keeps hold of it, produces a cross in front of Mahrez, headed away by Walker, who's playing as one of the centre halves now. It's picked up by Caicedo. McAllister. We're in the 93rd minute and 38th second of this intoxicating game between these two brilliant football teams. Is there going to be a late winner? Brighton have scored more goals in the last 15 minutes than most. 15 goals in the last 15 minutes of matches. They've kept hold of the ball well. There's no risk. This will be enough. They know that a point secures Europa League. No discussion about the possibility of goal difference hampering them. Not anymore. And a embrace on the touchline between two brilliant football managers, Roberto De Zerbi of Brighton and Manchester City's genius Pep Guardiola. It's a day of joy and celebration for both these two brilliant football teams. It ends with a share of the spoils. The title is done, and Brighton will be in the Europa League without any doubt. I'm not really telling you anything you didn't know already, but it is job done for Brighton. The Europa League beckons. We've seen a fantastic goal, one of the goals of the season from Julio Enciso. His nickname is the Diamond of Paraguay, and his goal was the shining light on this performance. A brilliant game from two brilliant teams. They have treated us to an end of season duel in the Premier League crown. It's finished 1-1, but it's been a joy to watch. Brighton and Hove Albion going to the Europa League, and Manchester City have shown why they are champions. Brighton 1, Manchester City 1.